Oh, we're live. Okay. That was unexpected. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow, and you gotta roll with what you got. Hey, I'm Dave, the Crypto Trade Geek. I thought I'd do a. This is totally impromptu because I was literally just testing and setting up my live. I was not intending to actually go live, but hey, we're already here. Why not? I wanted to give you all an update on the market, what I see right now, and where I'm at in my trade, and some other information. So let me go to the OP chart that we were looking at last time, and just refresh you on what we were talking about. As a matter of fact, I can go to my last video, and I don't know if you'll get sound input. I don't think I have that set up, so we won't be able to do that. But in my last video here, actually maybe I can turn this on. Sorry if this is all sketchy. I'm just, sometimes you just got to dive in. Let's see if this comes on. Hours. You see how that's like a lot of time. Sure, you can set alerts. That's another way to do it. Select your line, your top line here, and but I cannot hear. Create an alert that tells you when price crosses it. Let me find the right spot. Tells you when price. This is the smoothest live you've probably ever watched. Is that if the breakout happens soon and I get in down here, I may never open that short. That's exactly what happened. I never opened, or no, that's the opposite of what happened, is that it never went back up, so I ended up opening a short in a place other than expected. Oh, it's lower than this. Okay, yeah, this is the part I'm looking for. Like right now, EOP is down 4%, while Bitcoin is up 3%. Bitcoin is moving into... Let me find it. And let me tell you why. Okay, first, here it is. I'm kind of almost, I'm more inclined to see it go down. I'm more inclined to see it go down, is what I said yesterday. But time will tell. And let me tell you why. First, recognize that OP doesn't always follow the pack. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Like right now, OP is down 4%, while Bitcoin is up 3%. Bitcoin is moving into what I'm interpreting as, this is again on the 15-minute, pretty much looks similar on the 1 hour, that you've got a high, and here you definitely have a lower low. It's lower than this one, it's lower than this one, it's lower than this one. It's not, it's almost the same as this little wick right here. But either way, I'm going to call that a lower low. And then we've got this, which is a lower high. Ever so slightly, but it is a lower high. So there is a good chance that this price is going to come down and go past this low. Fibonacci's not really going to help us on this one. A lot of this is the FOMC meeting ended, so there's this crazy weird volatility. But at Fibonacci, I guess the thing to look for is price going to come down past this 786 line and continue on. That's what I anticipate happening, but we could get one more bounce up before we go down, and a lot of the downward momentum. Okay, let me show you what transpired, what happened, and why I did what I did. Let me mute that in case some other weird computer sounds. I hope that worked for you. So that's what I said yesterday. Let's see if I kept my original trade. So in that video, yeah, let me hide this short. And so I want to tell you what happened and what transpired. So in that video, we were right here in this area. We were right here looking at this triangle, seeing that price was getting closer and closer to this apex. And eventually when it does that, it's going to break out one way or the other. And I talked about hedging, which hedging is like code word for basically you can open a trade in both directions. You can have a short and you can have a long open at the same time. One-way mode means you can only have a short or a long open, and if you open one, it closes the other, or whatever. I started using hedge mode because for me, it helps me to be able to kind of hedge. That's why it's called hedge. Hedge your bets. Hedge what I'm seeing in case I'm wrong, that I can still take advantage of a bigger move. Excuse me. So this is what I was looking at. And in my video, I even said there just a minute, I'm more inclined for price to go down. And so what I thought might happen is that as price was in this triangle doing its thing, right around here is where I got in, I thought it might go up one more time and then possibly go down. Or there's always a possibility it could have gone up and keep going up. In a triangle, there's no guarantee. In trading, there's no guarantees in trading. So I had opened up this long, anticipating at least getting back up to the top of this triangle to take advantage of a lower entry point so that you maximize your gain. But what ended up happening is price came out. And let me move over to the 15-minute because this is what I usually trade on. So I'm sitting here watching this. And what happens, sure enough, price ends up coming out of the triangle. Not a real strong retest. Maybe on the 1 minute, you see this candle kind of goes up. And then it really starts to drop. Well, when I saw it come out of the triangle, I went ahead and opened up a short then, which would have been more along the lines of the traditional view that I mentioned in yesterday's video. The traditional view being that to trade a triangle properly, you wait for a breakout, for price to retest, and then as it starts to descend again, that's where you get in and you ride it down. So I went ahead and did that because price did break out from the triangle, and as you can see, I've done quite well. Now this other trade closed out with a slight loss. Let's see, a 1.8% loss, and I was trading just about equal amounts. I think the short had they're both 10x leverage, but the short had a little bit more percentage, or had a little bit more money in it. Same leverage, but the short had a little bit more money, again, because I was more inclined for it to go short, and price had already broken below the triangle. Now, just because it breaks down below the triangle is no guarantee that it's going to keep going. That's why they call it a retest, because sometimes that test can fail and it'll go all the way through and out the exact opposite way. And so that's why my stop loss for this long was a little bit lower. Not, I didn't put it right under. I didn't put it right under the triangle. I gave it some space to work with. Some of those lows that I'd mentioned earlier. Basically, I put it right below this low, which was, call it 2 lows ago. So if there was a liquidity grab, which is where people will use a lot of volume and a lot of volume of trade to try to, some people call it manipulation. It's just making the market work for you to try to come down. They'll probably only come down as far as the most recent low touch, a little bit past that. This will force close out people in long trades and then sometimes shoot up and just keep on going. And so that's why my stop is where it is, a little bit lower, to try to prevent that from happening. But as we can see, price went up. It closed out my long trade. My short trade was still open, and it has been chugging along nicely ever since. So let me close this long out because it is no longer active. And my short is right now 5.8% in profit, but I've got 10x, so that's 58% in profit right now. I've already taken profit on half of my trade, and you'd get alerts on these if you follow me on Twitter. You can see in my profile here that I posted just earlier, optimism breaking down out of the triangle. Great trade so far. Took some profit when price started to stall out. And moved my take profit to the green. Now I'm in a no-lose trade. So I took some profit at 53% gain. Again, I'm on where does it say? Right here. I'm on 10x short. And I posted a picture. So if you want to get these kinds of alerts, Again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just showing you what I'm doing, and I encourage everyone to do their own research. Don't just blindly follow my trades because I am not perfect. So anyway, I took some profit out, somewhere around here. Like I said, the price started to retrace back a little bit, and so I took a little bit of profit out. And then my stop loss, I'm going to leave this here just for historical sake, but I moved my stop loss from here to just inside here. I wanted to do a little bit of other stuff with you. Is that what I'm trying to say? I want to do some other stuff with you so I can show you what I'm looking at and like how I'm going to decide whether or not I'm going to get in, get out, stay in, stay out. I'm not going to stay out because I'm already in, but how much and how long I'm going to stay in. Let me pull this up on my phone. Again, I'm kind of new to this. I've streamed before in the past, but I want to be able to catch any comments in case somebody makes a comment. Okay. Where can I put this? I'll just put it right there. Hopefully this is working because on my screen, oh, it's still buffering. Let me go to, sorry, again, this is more working out a kink than it is, all right, it says I'm live. There we go. Okay, all right, we're good. I just wanted to jump in here in case somebody had a question or something. So, here's what I'm looking at. And again, I encourage you to go back and look at my last video. You won't believe what's happening in the crypto market on my channel, because that's where I talked about why I'm seeing things the way I am. It's this last video right here, the one with the red, the red title. So I want to keep watching this. Again, we've got prices come down. It's kind of stalling out right here, and the the big question is what's going to happen next. Is it gonna reverse? Is it going to stall out and then just keep going? Both of those scenarios are very likely. It could also kind of continue to go sideways for a while. But we want to try to see if we can figure out where it may be going. Okay, so let's do a couple of things. Let's take a look at Fibonacci on a few different time frames. And again, you can go back to my Fibonacci, my Fibonacci, like how to use Fibonacci retracements in TradingView that I posted a week ago. Shows you all the details about how I use this tool. And kind of, it doesn't work as well in a triangle because you've got these descending highs and ascending lows that are creating this, this focal point. And so the Fibonacci doesn't help you as well in that. But once it gets outside the triangle, there's some potential. So I'm just gonna grab a high here and grab this low down here, which, if this is the scenario, we could get a bounce all the way, a retracement all the way back up to there. Let's go down to the 1 minute and see what is going on here. Oh, let's see. Let's just draw some fibs. Sometimes I do this just to kind of, I pick a high, I pick a low. Don't see anything exciting in those. Let's pick this high and this low. So this is a pretty good one. Let me turn off. I've got the. All right, let me. Come on, work with me here. That's the thing I hate about it. Sometimes TradingView is just like it gets stuck on one thing and it will not let go. I'm trying to turn off the extend right button. There we go. Okay. Zooming in here. So I can see on this retracement, we've got a bit of a bounce inside this 0.5 to 618 line. And so I'm going to call that a good fib, and I'm going to take the next high. Yeah, we'll go with this one. The next high, this next low. And you can see that price moved out. What happens if we move this back? I gotta turn this locking thing off. I look for things that seem to work well. Yeah, see, if I go off for here, then you get this perfect 618 line bounce. So let's go with that one. Doesn't always work that way, but let's see. Click here. I can tell we're not going to get a bounce for a while, but what if we go all the way down to here? This is where I said earlier it's kind of more of an art. I saw somewhere earlier it was, so like this. I mean, you got this high, this obvious low, and then what do we have? Price breaks through the 786. We don't exactly get a higher high, but because it broke out, we kind of expect one. Well, eventually we did get one. And so there has been a little bit of upward movement, but really it's just here and then down. So if we go fib from here to here, we're getting something that looks like this. So I know it's a lot of mess, but this is the way trading is. if you see people just click things, or they show you things that they've already drawn on their chart, well, they probably spent time doing this, isolated all the junk that didn't work, and then went and posted the one thing that did work, and say, see, here's how this happened, here's how this works. Yeah, so pretty much I'm just going to hang on right now. Like I said, I've got my stop loss. I'm thinking about moving my stop loss a little lower, because like right now I said I got it, I don't know exactly where it is, but it's higher than this, somewhere between my entry point and there. But let's look at some other times. So we looked at the 15-minute. We didn't go into VMC Morpheus to see, like, hey, what is VMC Morpheus saying right now? So as price is coming down, what is Morpheus saying? Let's take a look. I'm going to do this. So I see some good signs for here. One is money flow. This red wave is continuing to, it's even pushing down on this last point. However, on the RSI, I see these green kind of highlighted. This is part of this purple line, and you got these greens. Those are divergences, basically saying there's some indicator right here that price is getting tired of going down. Now, something to be aware of, just because price gets, you get these indicators that price is getting tired of going down. If price goes down and is determined to go down and keeps going down and keeps going down and keeps going down and keeps going down, you're going to start to see these more and more. Then you'll see them, like, we saw, here's one right here. And what has price done since then? It has gone down. So here it was getting a little tired of going down. Well, and then what did it do? So it went up for a little bit, but the overall trend is still down. So these are just indicators to get an idea. It's like, well, maybe it's getting tired here. It seems to be a little more tired of going down than it was here. But we're not seeing a price move in the upward direction. We're just seeing sideways movement. So divergences with subsequent sideways movement is not necessarily a bad thing. Excuse me. There's also this orange right here, which is a divergence, a bearish divergence, saying price is getting tired of going up. You can see it started to go down. Let's look, see what else we got. The money flow is the biggest thing that I'm liking, and comparing it to, let's compare it to this last section that money flow went down. we're slightly lower right here. So that's a good thing. All right, so let's move up to the 1 hour and see what it looks like. So we're going up on a bigger time frame. Bigger time frame, money flow is still moving down. This green line, we're getting some more RSI divergence information, but this is really long. You would think longer is better, but actually it's not, because that means we're working on a touch point from here and then way up here, and there's been no supportive touch point in the middle. Like this purple line, even though it's gotten low, has never come back down. So that's not a warm fuzzy on my part. And then let's go to the 4 hour, see what money flow had just recently crossed over. On the 4 hour, this momentum wave is still forming, but back here on the 1 hour, we've got this momentum wave is starting to go up. But this again is one of those things, like a momentum wave going up while price is flat, to me is actually is encouraging. If the momentum wave is going up and price was going up, then I would be more concerned that we're going to see a reversal, possibly a retest, and I'd be more interested in taking even more profit. The other thing I see here that I like, that is a little more of a nuance you might not catch immediately, and I still need to do that video on VMC Morpheus and go through all the details, but is this. On the top here, we've got momentum waves getting, this one's a little bit bigger, but basically look, you can see this yellow line, they're going in a downward direction on the top. On the bottom, generally speaking, these momentum waves in the same area are kind of getting lower. I mean, sure, it bounces up and down. You got these up here, but even right here, these are lower. So generally the sentiment here among the momentum waves is that things are continuing to go down. So it's possible this wave may go up and maybe make a tiny top wave and come down and be even bigger, and then not even make a top wave at all, and we'd have a continuation of this downward momentum, right? So that would be good for continued downward support, and I think that supports what we're seeing on the 4 hour. We'll take a gander at the 12 hour just for fun. The 12 hour, you're kind of seeing the same thing, going way back to the beginning of February, right? We've seen downward. Now this wave here is still forming. The RS, or the money flow wave, is descending here a little bit. So let's do a couple other things. This line here in the middle is called a VWAP. It's not the same as the VWAP that, if there's a VWAP indicator that can show up right here on your candles, it is not exactly the same as that, although it is related. I just call this the Morpheus VWAP. And in the 1 hour, you can see that this is kind of curving down. And one thing to see here is every time the VWAP crosses zero, every time it crosses zero, you get one of these dots. You get a red dot when it crosses going down. You get a green dot when it crosses going up. And you can see the VWAP is angled down. VWAP's angled down. This RSI is angled down. And we already talked about the general momentum is angled down. So I still think we got a lot of information here that's still pointing us in the downward direction. And so that's where I plan to continue to hang out with my trade, is expecting it to continue down. I'll be really happy when on the 15-minute we get a lower low, specifically lower than this low right here. So when price breaks that low, let's put a horizontal ray right there. When price breaks that low, I don't have a lower low. I have a higher line, but I don't have a lower low line. Well, so let's make this coordinate text. Break below for a lower low. And blue's kind of related to green. So what's a good color that's kind of related to red that's not exactly red? So kind of pinkish maybe. Yeah, we'll go with pinkish. Might be that magenta I used the other day. And then we're going to save as lower low line. There. So now we can use that again in the future without having to click all that stuff. We'll lock that in. And so that I'll be watching for a lower low in that area. Let's go look at Bitcoin real quick, because there's something I want to, again, I said this in my last video. When I'm trading altcoins, not just specifically OP, but just pretty much any altcoin, when I'm trading altcoins, I always try to take a look at Bitcoin and see what it's doing. Altcoins don't always follow Bitcoin, but they tend to. Excuse me. If you notice, everything's red. Just about, yeah, everything's red except for the US dollar. There's also this idea that when the US dollar, when Dixie goes up, Bitcoin kind of goes down. So let's look at Bitcoin. Actually, here's the one. So I drew this this Fibonacci in my last video. I talked about on the that we could potentially, see a bounce prior to continuing down. But what I'm liking, that I'm seeing right now just at a glance, I'm on this 15-minute, and we have a lower low on Bitcoin, lower than this line. So that's a good sign that Bitcoin, the market dominating asset, is moving in the negative direction. The same thing down here on VMC Morpheus. Money flow is definitely pointing down. RSIs are slanting in the downward direction. These waves, those momentum waves, are moving in a negative direction. So everything is still looking very, very negative. And that's just in the 15-minute. The 1 hour, I remember yesterday was a little backwards. It had me kind of concerning, because at that time, this green momentum wave was starting to point up. It is definitely pointing down now, not just slanting down, but it even is kind of dipping down. You see, it's hard to see, but at the very edge of this here, there's quite a dip on that wave, and this wave is still forming. Whoops. Make sure I'm still on Bitcoin. Back to the 1 hour. This wave is still forming, so there's no telling how deep this wave will go. The deeper it goes, the more it's going to pull down this money flow. And then we'll go over to the 4 hour again. This was the thing that got me all excited yesterday, which really caused me to be very bearish, meaning I think we're going in the downward direction. And that was this bearish divergence continuing to be supported by every single wave, and it's continuing to be supported here. You don't get a line once, I don't know if you can see this white line right here, but once price gets below that level, you stop getting these red lines for bearish divergences. But what we've got, well, I guess the other reason we don't get the line is because to get a bearish divergence, you have to have price moving up while momentum is moving down. So that's why we don't get away, because once we got to here, right, once we got to here, these prices are going down along with the waves, right? And that's good. We expect that, because now the price is no longer fighting the wave trend, right? Basically, I said it earlier, this indicates that price is getting tired of going up. And the higher time frames you see these, the stronger they are. Just like a candle, a 1 hour candle, you look at it and it's this long, is bigger than a 1 minute candle that might look this big on your screen, but it's only going to be a 60th of the size. But so anyway, money flow, there's a peak here and it's starting to come down, and that's happening in conjunction with this momentum bearish divergence that is pretty much confirming, is a word I try not to use too often, but highly supported by the fact that price is now turning negative, and the money flow and the momentum waves are continuing to go down. Now, what I expect from here generally is that this money flow wave will go somewhere, but it'll probably come down and probably go lower than this wave here. And then it might come up and we might get a little wave, a smaller wave here, and then it'll go even lower, kind of like I was just showing you in those other things. Basically a continuation of this downward momentum on these momentum waves, and that will be continued price going down. Now what you can see, does that mean price won't go up at all? Absolutely not. It's not going to be a straight shot. But as looking at this red dot, right, that's when the VWAP crosses zero, price started coming down, and it keeps coming down, and watch when we get to, I'm just going to draw like a potential future here. When we get to this line, right, which intersects with this low point right here, that price very well can do that. It can come into, start to go up as this wave goes up, and then continue to go down. And in all of that, we're still getting lower highs, right? And then we're getting lower, hopefully lower lows. So that's what I am anticipating happening, and potentially, seeing that it's Friday at almost 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I would estimate that this is probably going to continue to happen over the weekend. Weekend, everything tends to slow down, but we will still have some more, I think, some more sell-off over the weekend. Probably nothing seriously dramatic, but probably more of a retracement of what's been going on with all the upward movement that we've seen. So what'll make me feel real good, the last thing on this specifically, and then we're going to look at something for the super far future, is we've got this low and we've got this lower high that I drew this Fibonacci on. So on the 1 hour, I told you I was really happy because we've got a lower low than this, right? But on the 4 hour, I'll be really happy, or anytime when price finally breaks down below this 786 line right here, because when it does, that means there's a very, very good chance that it's going to continue to go down and make a lower low lower than this, which again is in concert with the other information I just showed you about money flow and about momentum waves and RSI movement. So all of that is wrapping up together into a nice package that continues to say we're probably going down. Let me show you one other thing on a higher time frame. The other thing I really look at is when I get onto Bitcoin, I tend to look at the higher time frame, like the daily and stuff. Let me kill these curves. These curves are something I'm playing with. No idea if they're going to be helpful or not. Again, it's part of trading. You just look at things and you play with things and you try to see what's going on. But I drew a daily Fibonacci, this gigantic one. I tweeted about it a while back that I thought it was interesting that price, if you draw a Fibonacci tool from the zero price of Bitcoin, basically since the inception of Bitcoin up to its highest high, you end up getting a golden pocket right here. And it's encouraging to me, and I think healthy to me, to see that it appears, and time will tell, that we've had a healthy bounce off of or very, very near this 786 line. And that's encouraging to me because assuming we get a bounce and it continues up, that means a higher high. Not for sure, but there's a pretty good chance of a higher high, and higher than what? Higher than this last high that was somewhere in the neighborhood of 69,000. So going up higher than 69,000 take us in the 70s, the 80s, the 100,000s, and who knows where. But I just thought I'd refresh you on that, and I'll zoom in here. And it's very likely too in some of these things, you can even see on this zooming in here, we're getting, here's a low, here is, I'll use this one as a high, here's a higher low, we've already got a higher high. So in this downtrend, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to zero. It just means we could be getting a retracement down maybe to this area, and then we'll continue up. So there's an opportunity here to draw in another fib. Never miss an opportunity to draw a fib. From this low to this high to see the potential. Let me kill that little one that's in between that was on the 15-minute. So there is the potential here of a retracement as far down as the 786 line, right? And then we could get a bounce and it would still be a higher low, right? But look at the distance on this thing. That's what I was talking about a few minutes ago. When you're on the higher time frames, the vertical distance that you're looking at on your price chart is dramatically bigger than when you're looking at smaller time frames. So even just from right here, where again on the hourly and on the 4 hour, we're starting to see this downturn. We could potentially, I mean, to me, this is great, a 22% retracement on Bitcoin. And I tell you, if we get a 22% retracement on Bitcoin, people are going to freak out. They are going to freak out. But that could very well happen. And if it retraces 20%, you know, what is likely to happen with the altcoins, specifically that OP trade I'm in? It could be pretty extensive. So anyway, that's a neat, let me put that back, neat little thing to look at. Let me hide that smaller fib retracement again. And then I kind of don't expect it to go that low. I mean, it could. Typically what I look for is retracements to really start seeing resistance when they hit that previous high. So you hit this high, you know, even like here, I would not consider this necessarily a higher low. I mean, it kind of is, but it's because now we're further in the future and I can see that we got this low. But if you notice, price went up, price went down, price went up, and then when it got down to the same neighborhood as this little intermediate high, notice how it went sideways for a while before it finally, you know, pushed through and kept going to make this low. So I say all that to say, price had come down, start to get in the area of this high, and that's where I would expect it to see some resistance. You can see there was some resistance right here in this little area. I would call that a bearish flag, or excuse me, a bullish flag, where price came up, kind of went diagonal up a little bit, and then kept coming up. So anyway, that's just a lot of theory, a lot of stuff that I'm looking at. I don't see any questions in the chat. If you have any questions, I certainly would entertain them and take a look. Trying to think anything else to look at before we sign off. Again, that's a daily look at Bitcoin. Oh, I know one thing. This is kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, let me go to the 1 hour. So I didn't mean to draw that line, but here is a line that I would be interested in. I think we're already past it. If I were to draw a line from here to here, we've definitely already broken through that. And so I'm going to take this line and I'm going to draw it over to here. Even though I know I'm on an active candle that still has almost 30 minutes left on it, it could definitely go lower. But these are little things I look at to tell me if price is continuing to go down, because, you know, we break this line here. Again, that's going to be some more confirmation for me that price is going to keep going down. So anyway, I'm David, the Crypto Trade Geek. I invite you to follow me on YouTube and on Twitter. I try to put out videos as often as possible. So far, you know, I'm getting about one every other day, sometimes more than one a day. And I hope this live stream was helpful to you. If you got any questions, even after the live stream, go ahead and post them in the comments, and I'd love to entertain them. Again, remember, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you what I'm looking at, and that you should, encouraging you to do your own research, and to remind you that you should not follow my trades blindly. You should do your own research and do what is best for you. All right, we'll talk to you later.